Camper Radio, episode 008. Come on, let's go camping. We are back once again for another episode of the Happy Camper Radio Show. Hello, everybody. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. And yes, you, my friends, can be one too. I had planned a few days ago that I was going to go ahead and do this show solo because Daniel...
What? Solo? You can't go solo on me.
That's exactly what I had planned to do because I had no earthly idea that you were coming back as early as you did.
What?
But I come to find out yesterday, just as I was preparing to do the show, there was a Facebook post that I learned about that somebody was caught up in traffic up in Virginia.
Oh, God.
Which means...
Oh, God.
Which means you were on your way back, and I says, all right,
that was rough.
If I went ahead and did the show by myself and you came back, you'd come over here tonight, all excited, all pumped up about doing the show, and I would have to tell you, wait, Daniel, next week you're going to be on.
That would not be cool, Skip.
Yeah, you would have walked away so disappointed.
We're not friends anymore.
But you know something? I saw you sneak home last night. You were slowly pulling up the road.
Let me tell you, that's a funny story. It's hard to maneuver those pop-ups. You turn left, it goes right. You turn right, it goes left. It's hard. It is hard. They need classes for that. It is hard.
Not that I was out there spying on you through the window, because we've got some people in this neighborhood that do just that. But I couldn't help but to see it took you about 20 minutes to actually back that.
Okay, wow. Were you starting the timer? You're like, all right, and go. All right, well, he goes left and into the flagpole. Oh, God.
Yeah, well, we're glad to have you back, Daniel. 404-537-2267 is our phone number here at the Happy Camper Radio Show. You can give us a call anytime, day or night. The phone always answers. Leave us your name, where you're calling from, and by all means, leave your camping question in your voicemail. And we'll do the magic on this end and get you on an upcoming episode and answer your camping question for you. Of course, your comments and feedback are always welcome. That number again, 404-537-CAMP. You can catch us on Facebook. And by the way, hello there to Eli. Yeah, thank you. I think it's Eli, right? Yeah. Thank you for your comments here on Facebook, as well as Lisa. We appreciate both of you and glad to have you as listeners of the show. And by all means, you can follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker, CAMPTALKER. Daniel, let's gather everybody together. Right now, we're going to go ahead and pull up next to the campfire.
I'm ready. Whoa.
And incidentally, since you were gone this week, I had to haul in the wood myself.
What?
I had to bring fresh wood up here, and I put some hickory on the fire. Listen to that crackle.
Well, you know, I got a new fireplace app on my iPhone. It kept me pretty warm.
Well, that's not going to do any good here at the campsite. That's not going to help me haul any wood in.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
But anyway, folks, we're glad to have you along here. And Daniel, I want to go ahead and open the floor for a moment here so you can tell us a little bit about your trip. I know you're pumped up and excited about that.
There's a hole in the floor. The floor is open. What do I do? Anyway.
Jump in it.
All right. So me and my wife, we went up to Virginia to visit D.C. and everything, and we stayed at a state park, which there are many state parks up in that neck of the woods, and we stayed at a place called Pohick Bay. It's right off the Potomac River, and it was very peaceful. It's very weird how it's set up down there. It's like very, very crowded, a lot of commercial, and then woods and just nature everywhere. It's amazing. It's really awesome. But we stayed there, and it was a lot of fun. We went around the sites. We went to go see George Washington's home, Mount Vernon. We went to some caverns on the west side, and I got Skip to post some of the pictures. So after this episode, if you want to, you just go look at them. But it was a lot of fun. It was very, very peaceful. I totally forgot how peaceful it is in the wilderness and everything. But I mean, it was kind of challenging at times getting everything together. I think our number one problem, and I've told you, Skip, before that I think we need to touch on this, is organization, because we went to the store like 5 or 6 times. We were totally unorganized, and I'm kind of ashamed to be next to such a professional camper as yourself saying this. I feel a little,
You would have had me pulling my hair out if I would have been there with you.
Yeah,
No.
I really
But having
dropped the
said
ball.
that, though, Daniel, I've got to admit that you are true to your word. I did wake up last weekend and looked out the window. The truck was gone. The camper was gone. And you were well on your way before I was even had my feet planted on the ground.
Oh yeah, we got off the ground around 5:30, 6 o'clock, and we got there around 7 o'clock because we were not gonna set up in the dark, because that was rough, and we weren't on a level camping ground, so we had to use our jack and everything to make everything level. But in the end, everything worked out, and it was good.
Well, I'll tell you what, Daniel, I can't help but to ask this question, and I know you were in close proximity to our nation's capital.
Yep.
You didn't get taxed to death while you were up there, did you?
I was dodging and weaving, and I didn't get hit by the tax
When
man.
you get
There are
a
a lot
group
of bureaucrats, though.
when you get a group of politicians together like you have in Washington D.C., they can sniff out a dollar bill floating through the air 50 miles away.
It's funny you say that, Skip, because we went to the place where all the money was printed out. So it's funny you say that.
You didn't bring any back?
I did. I brought a sheet of $2 bills back. That was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, actually, DC, it's pretty green. If believe it or not, it's pretty green up there, and it's nice. And you got the river and everything, and people are playing softball. And actually, I saw an adult kickball league up there. I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, Daniel, it's good to have you back here. And like it says, I held it down, and I was going to do the show yesterday and fly solo, but I wanted to go ahead and wait since I heard you were on your way back.
I appreciate it, Skip.
We're glad to have you again. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and put Daniel's pictures on our website. You can click on it anytime, www.happycamperradio.com, and you'll find them right there under camping pics.
Oh, let me say something about that. We went to 2 caverns, and the pictures that you see on the website, one is of Luray Caverns, and one is of Skyline Caverns, and that was awesome.
And I already had an
that.
opportunity to preview some of those pictures. So yes, folks, when you get an opportunity, click on our website and take a look at some of Daniel's pictures that he brought back from his camping trip. Today, I want to touch a little bit more on camping stoves. Now, we ran out of time last week, and it's something I really want to talk about. Now, Daniel, you did mention that you had burners inside your pop-up camper, right?
Yes, we had propane burners.
Propane burners. Now, how many burners? I'm going to call them burners. I should call them stoves. But how many burners did you have in there that you could cook off of?
There were 3.
There were 3 of them. Okay. Did you work all 3 of them at the same time?
No, I used the hot plate you gave to me about a year ago. It's a lot easier, and I don't have to deal with the gas.
Did you dust it off this time?
Yeah, I blew the cobwebs off. It was good.
Okay, yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit more today about camping stoves. Now, last week I went ahead and I touched a little bit about the stoves that I have, and keep in mind that I am a one-man show when I'm out there camping these days because my kids are grown up. They have not knocked on Dad's door lately and says, "Hey, come on, Dad, let's go camping." But that day will come. I'm keeping my hopes up. But for right now, I have 2 little stoves that I use. They're called Thunder Ranges, and they require the use of butane canisters. Believe it or not, Daniel, I bought these things at our local grocery store up the road here a few years back. And when I came across them, it reminded me of a time when I was back in my law enforcement days working an extra job in downtown Atlanta, of all places to be. But I went ahead and I looked at these stoves that they had in one of the 5-star hotels down there because I was inside there, and one morning I was just hungry. I went up to this one restaurant where I knew they had a breakfast buffet going on. I was in the mood for a homemade omelet. And the chefs were working very hard behind the grill there. And they had these 2 little portable stoves. And I didn't really pay any attention to them at first, but halfway in preparing my omelet, they went ahead and shut the stove off, opened the side of it out, took out this little canister, put a new one in, And I'm looking at what on earth is this? And I'm saying to myself, well, and of course it went over my head after a while. I thought, well, that's just something you find in the restaurant industry. And lo and behold, I come across a bunch of these stoves on sale. And it was in the early spring, I remember, because the picnic supplies were just coming out. And I walked in there and I passed by them and I saw these stoves. And they were going for about $20 a piece. So I scooped up 2 of those and I grabbed as many of the butane canisters that I could afford to buy at that time. And I brought them on home, and that's what I have been using. And they've been working very, very well. Now, I also want to point out, too, that I do have a 3-burner dual fuel stove. And I bought that stove back in 1996 when the Summer Olympic Games, and I remember that because that particular year I just went gangbusters in the camping supply store and I bought a lot of new stuff. So I do have this 3-burner dual fuel stove sitting on the shelf downstairs, and I know I'm going to have to break that out again pretty soon. Now, I will go ahead and use that stove, 1, when my kids decide they want to go camping, or 2, when the family comes down from Pittsburgh and the nieces and nephews all gang up on me and say, hey, Uncle, come on, let's go camping. I will pull out the dual fuel stoves, I will pull out the butane stoves, and I will do it upright. But I want to keep in mind that the 3-burner stove is a good stove to use. There were times that, thinking back, I had 3 plates going at the same time.
Okay, I have to barge in here. What are you cooking on these stoves? This is what I want to know.
Well, I'm going to get into that in another episode when
Okay.
I'll talk about some of Skip's favorite menus and Skip's favorite food. Then I'll go ahead and talk about what I was burning. But no, I'm not burning, cooking. Let's get it right, okay? When
Okay,
I was
all right.
cooking, not burning.
Yeah. Whatever
But
you think.
those stoves have done absolute wonders for me. And I try to keep my camping gear in proper shape, in proper order, because you never know when you're going to need it. And you want to make sure when you're out there that everything is functioning properly. Otherwise, I'm going to be like Daniel and his wife, who's going to have to be making 8 or 10 trips to the store.
It was just for food.
Well, just for food. Well, no, you bring everything to the campsite because, Daniel, when you get to be my age, when you decide that you're going to pitch your tent and you're going to put everything up, you're going to want to stay put. You're going to want to do just like we're doing right now, and that's sitting by the fire, relaxing, and having a good conversation about camping.
I'll probably be in a hard side by then. I have to admit
Well,
there, Skip. I know you don't like that.
I'll tell you something. But anyway, I do enjoy the stoves that I have. I've got to say one thing about the 3-burner stove. There's one little downside about this that I'm not crazy about. Now, it may not bother you. Okay, it may not bother any of our other fellow campers out here who may have a 3-burner stove or may acquire one. But when you go ahead and fire up your 3-burner stove, the center burner is going to be your dominant burner. The ones that work on the right and left-hand side have their own controls, but they do not have the intensity that your center burner has. And for me, I like everything even. I like having 3 separate controls and being able to adjust them, but the one on the right and left-hand side is not as dominant as the one in the center. I like everything to cook even, if I possibly can, because when the meal is done, I want to be able to serve it. I don't want to have to be waiting on other food to finish cooking on the stove, if you get my point. So that's the only downside that I have about the 3-burner dual fuel stove. But it's a good stove. If you happen to have one, continue using it. It's good. It's great. And, I treat my camping equipment, I treat my stoves the same as I do my tent. It's a very, very important and very crucial part of your camping gear. Because you've got to cook, you've got to eat. And you've got to be careful what you eat. make sure you don't eat too much because, it's real easy to put on the feed bag out there and lose total interest in your weight.
I'll tell you what,
and your exercise, which got to go with your daily diet.
Always bring a first aid kit too, because we had a little bit of the old indigestion. I needed some Tums. We had to go to the
another trip to the store, Daniel.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm ashamed. I don't know what to say. Maybe you should have done this show without me.
No, it's good to have you back, buddy. It really is. Now, something else I want to touch on, too, is propane stoves. Now, propane stoves are growing in popularity. I've got to admit that. I was just at our local department store today, and I was in there to buy something else, but, I just cannot resist going to the camping supply aisle. It's like a magnet that draws me there.
You're like a fly to the light. You're like the lightning bug.
And I knew this was going to be the topic of discussion today, so I wanted to take another close look to see what they had in the line of camping stoves in the camping supply aisle. And what I'm seeing more and more are people leaning toward propane-powered stoves. And they're good. Of course, like it says, I'm an old timer. I like the gas stoves, the one, the dual fuel, where you can either use, camp fuel, otherwise known as white gas, or unleaded gasoline. That works well. The white gas, I'm thinking burns a little more clean than the unleaded gasoline, and I pretty much stick to that, as well as I do have them in my lanterns too. But anyway, the popularity is growing from what I can see on the propane stoves. Now, here's the problem with the propane stoves. When you power them up, you're either going to be using a 1-pound canister of propane fuel, or you are going to have a hose attached to it, a specially made hose that you too can buy in your camping supply aisle, or in your outfitting store, that runs directly to a 20-pound tank. How much cooking do you do? How much propane use do you require at your campsite will make the determination as to whether you go ahead and buy a 20-pound fuel tank, or you stick with the 1-pound tanks, which are disposable. I don't like to waste anything. And anytime that I have a 1-pound canister of propane, I usually make sure that I bring maybe 5 or 6 of those with me, because you will run out. If it's in the wintertime, definitely I will be using those to power my heater inside my tent. And I will go through one of those before the morning runs out. And how will I know? Because it'll cool down very fast inside the tent. And I've got to get up and I've got to go ahead and replace that canister. So I'm bringing home all these empty containers, which I believe are recyclable. I do put them out there for the recycle guy to pick up on Sunday. All right, but I don't like to waste product. I like the idea of a 20-pound tank, because you've got all the propane you need. You're not going to have to refill, especially if you're just going away for a weekend, say like on a Friday and coming back on a Sunday. In your case, Daniel, I know you've got a 20-pound tank at the front of your pop-up. Did that last you your entire trip?
Well, it's like I said before. Actually, last time we went camping in New Orleans, we turned it on and everything, and it worked fine, but we probably need to get ours filled up. And I want to point out, there's another kind of stove that you haven't mentioned. It's the camp stove, the fire, camping over the fire, putting one of those like little tray things over the fire and like cooking stuff over that. Have you ever tried to do that before?
That's called cooking over an open flame, yes.
I think that's the way to go if you're like Skip. I'm just saying.
I'm up for anything new.
Now you are. Okay, all right.
Especially when it comes to my diet, and I'm sure, that'll work out very, very well. It would not work at a campsite like mine, and I'm going to tell you why. Is because I do keep logs constantly on the fire. For cooking over an open flame, you're going to have a much lower campfire. You're going to have to let it cool down some. And they do make these grates, and I saw those today here in the store too. One of the things I do want you to be very, very careful of and very mindful of too is whenever you're cooking over an open flame, you've got to make sure that you have the proper cooking utensils to do that. And that brings up another topic here, too. Whenever you decide you're going to go camping and you're going to bring along some of your pots and pans and cooking utensils. Now, all the ones I have, I went ahead and recycled the ones that I've carried at home for a number of years. When I went out and bought some brand new pots and pans, and somebody got some for Christmas too, incidentally, you know, I went ahead and took the old product. I didn't waste it. I didn't throw it away. I brought those and put them out there with my camping supply because they're still good pots and pans. And they work very, very well whenever you're cooking at your campsite. But if you're going to be cooking over an open flame, you may want to stick to something like maybe a cast iron pot or a cast iron skillet. Make sure that you know that you're going to have something that's going to tolerate the intensive heat. You know, you don't want your pots and pans melting right along with your food over top of your fire. But it sounds good, Daniel. And have you done that before?
Well, I know when I was in Boy Scouts, we had little things we stuck over the fire, and we used a lot of Dutch ovens and stuff to make cobblers and stuff, and those are some of the best things I've ever had.
And I do have some pictures of some Dutch oven cooking that a friend of ours up at our Hiawassee trip did back in, it was the fall of 2012. And those pictures are on our website also at www.happycamperradio.com. Incidentally, Daniel, I want to go ahead and remind everybody once again about the Great American Backyard Campout. And I'm expecting you to be there, and I know you will.
I'll be right next to you, right here.
Okay, and we're going to pitch our tent right here in our backyard.
And I'm going to
my backyard, that is.
I'm going to bring my tent. I have a tent. Believe it or not, Skip, I have a tent. It's in my shed. I'm going to break it out. I'm not going to go in the pop-up and spend the night in there. I'm going to be in my tent right next to you.
And most likely, I'm going to get started a day early, which means when I get home from work that Friday, I'm probably going to take my gear and move it on the back of the house there and get ready and get things started a day ahead of time. And for those of you interested in participating, it's Saturday, June the 22nd, the Great American Backyard Campout. It's a great way to introduce your children to nature. And there's still plenty of time to go ahead and register. If you want to do that, I've got a link on our website at happycamperradio.com. Just click under Skip's Corner and look for the links page, and you'll find it right there. And it's a great program. They're having a fundraiser, too. If you want to participate, great if you can do that, because all the money that they're raising, 80 cents out of every dollar, are going to programs to help with children that have problems with the indoor health risks. And, you know, and there's a lot of health risks associated with them today. A lot of kids today, I'm sorry to say, are getting too attached to their electronic devices, and they're really being deprived of what's available out there in the world of nature. This is one great way that you can introduce your kids to nature, and you can participate yourself. And again, if you live in an apartment complex, if you live in a condominium and you don't have a backyard, get with some friends, find somebody who has a house. You can participate and maybe get together and make it a great night out for family and friends. Or there's many, many great campgrounds out there in this world. Find one close to you and you can participate. If it rains that day, that's all right. You can choose another day to go camping, but introduce your kids to nature. It's a great benefit and a great thing for you to participate in. It's the Great American Backyard Campout, and again, you can find it on our website at happycamperradio.com under the link section. What do you think about that, Daniel?
I think I will be next to you Friday after work. That's what I think.
Friday after work.
I'm ready to pinch my tent. I'm ready.
You know, see, folks, and this is what I really like about this guy here, too, because in a way, he's somewhat like me. I know, Daniel, whenever you left Virginia, that last day, when you got up and your wife made you breakfast and you went outside for the last time and you sat down, that's when the depression starts setting in. You know, that's when you start to think, wow, okay, now I have got to start packing up. I've got to come on home.
It's funny you said that because we were next to some people next to us, and they were asking us, like, so you packing up today? And I paused for a few minutes. I said, yeah. Just like that. Just like that. I was like,
And you know something, Daniel, what really keeps me going is the fact that I know when I get home and I got to re-enter the real world, it's not going to take me long to start planning for my next trip. And that's where the excitement starts rebuilding again.
My next trip is this Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend, where are you heading?
I'm going up near Chattanooga. I'm somewhere around, in the Georgia part of Chattanooga.
I want to hear all about it. But right now, Daniel, we're going to go to our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. Oh, and we've got a great place to visit this year, or should I say this week. And I'm going to turn it over to Daniel because we are going to go to, we're at Poick Bay Regional Park in Virginia. And Daniel, that is the featured campground of the week this week on the Happy Camper Radio Show, and you've got a lot to tell us about it.
All right. Well, it's affordable. It's cheap. They have this thing. If you're new to camping, I think you pay $25 up front, and they set up everything for you. They set up a tent for you. They set up all your gear, and you just pay a little fee, and you can experience what camping's like. You don't even have to have anything. You just go in your regular car and experience camping for a night or 2 nights. But they have nice bathrooms. They've got water, electric. They've got a water park in the summertime that opens Memorial Day weekend. It's called Pirates Cove. They have putt courses. They had a disc golf course, which I played on because I'm a disc golf person. But yeah, and it's really close to DC and everything. If you're interested in going and seeing the sights of our nation's capital, you're not going to pay more than you're not going to pay this little to stay in that area. Anywhere you go, you can't find anything as cheap as this place. But yeah, it's really nice. The showers have a great water pressure, and everything's clean, and the staff is very friendly. So yeah, I encourage people, if they want to go up in that area, to try it out.
You did take a shower before you came home, right?
Oh, I know. I forgot something. Dang it. Is that what that smell was?
Well, Daniel, I'll tell you what. Again, it's great to have you back again. And Poick Bay, Virginia. It's Lorton, Virginia, that is. And how long of a drive was it from here?
Oh, too long. About 10 hours.
Yeah, that's why you didn't work your way on over here yesterday. And I understand you needed to get some rest, okay? But anyway, you can find out about it on our website, happycamperradio.com. It's our featured campground of the week on the Happy Camper Radio Show. And if you have a campground that you would like for us to feature on the program, by all means, give us a call here at our phone number here is 404-537-2267. And if you want to email me, you can do that, skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com. And by all means, make sure that you go ahead and include a link to the website so we can show it on our website under the featured campground of the week. And that's going to do it for Daniel and I here on the program. Don't forget, you can catch us online anytime at www.happycamperradio.com. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. And yes, my friends, you can be one too. We'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening.